With these next examples and addition and subtraction happening along with absolute value, it's very important to notice the difference if there are two separate absolute values or if there's one absolute value and there's addition or subtraction on the inside. So looking at 25 and 26 and how they compare to each other. 25 has two separate absolute values that are being added together. Number 26 has one absolute value with addition on the inside. So the difference is in 25 you have to do the absolute values first and then add. In 26 you add first, then do the absolute value. So for 25 we do the absolute value of negative 13 is 13, the absolute value of 15 is 15, and we keep the addition sign, so that ends up being 28 for our final answer. For number 26, we add first. 23 plus 15 is 38. And even though that's going to be our final answer, I want to show you that technically that is still inside the absolute value bars. Then I take the absolute value and get positive 38. So when you are going through these, look back up. Does it look like 25 or does it look like 26? Go ahead and try these and then check back to see if your answers are correct. For 27, 27 looks like 26. So first we have to subtract. 21 minus 18 gives us 13. So we have the absolute value of 13, and that gives us 13. Number 28 looks like number 25. We have two separate absolute values. So the absolute value of 24 is 24. The absolute value of negative 17 is positive 17, and we keep the subtraction sign. So 24 minus 17 is 7 for our final answer. 29 has two separate absolute values. Again, absolute value of 3 is 3. Absolute value of negative 5 is 5. We add and get 8. Number 30, again, is two separate absolute values. Absolute value of negative 11 is positive 11. Absolute value of negative 6 is positive 6, and we keep the subtraction sign. 11 minus 6 is 5. Number 31, we have one big absolute value, so we need to do the subtraction inside. Sometimes it's helpful to write the bars first so you remember to keep the absolute value bars. Negative 7 minus 16 is negative 23, but we still have to do the absolute value of negative 23, which is positive 23. Number 32, two separate absolute values. Absolute value of 4 is 4. Absolute value of negative 4 is also 4. We're subtracting those to get 0. Number 33, again, we have one big thing inside. So we need to do negative 14 minus negative, which really means plus 1. Negative 14 plus 1 is negative 13, but again, that still needs to be inside the absolute value bars. The absolute value of negative 13 is positive 13. Number 34, just like number 33. First we need to do what's inside. 5 minus negative really means plus positive 13. So positive 13, again, it's in the absolute value, so our answer is 13. Now we're going to look at multiplying and dividing. Again, you are more than welcome to use your calculator. You can't use your calculator for just to plug these in. We don't have absolute value on our calculators, all right? But with the addition and multiplication, you can, or multiplication and division, you can. It is important to know if your calculator makes sense. So one thing we need to remember is that two positives, when you multiply or divide, you get a positive. When you have two negatives, you also get a positive. If you have one positive and one negative, you get a negative. So for 35, negative times negative turns to positive. 9 times 3 is 27. Go ahead and try all of the addition, all of the multiplication and division. One thing I want to do is down here in the summary is make sure you see the different ways we can write this. So for multiplication, we could do 3 times 4 with an x in between the multiplication sign. We can do a 3 and then a dot for our multiplication sign, times 4. We can also use parentheses, so you could have a 3 and then a negative 4 like that. So this part's confusing because a lot of people think this means 3 minus 4. But what you have to look at is, even though there's no sign here, that is multiplication. So this would be 3 times negative 4. For division, we're used to seeing if I do 12 divided by 3, our normal division sign. That's what it will look like on your calculator. When you type that into your calculator, though, you're going to get a slash like that. And you can see up here, you actually do have the slash in some of these problems. It's the least common way to write division, but you can do it that way. You can also have a fraction bar, so it's important to remember that a fraction bar is really just division. So all three of these are ways to write division problems. So go ahead and try all your multiplication and division, and then come back and see if your answers are correct. And here are all of those answers. So you can check yours carefully and see if you came up with the right answers.